It's 6 o'clock. I call the meeting of the PO Property Owners Association Board to order. I have the roll call, please.
All right, President Zislo,
Present.
Vice President Giarrusso,
Present.
Treasurer Blackwood,
Present.
Secretary Damians, present. Director LaFontaine,
Here.
Director Lee,
Here.
Director Nutting,
Present.
Director Pino,
Yes.
Director Strohmeyer,
Present.
Director Tubbs,
Present.
ex officio Becker.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Secretary, approval of the minutes, please.
Approval of minutes, January 20th, 2025. Minutes were approved by email vote completed on January 31st, 2025.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda? Anybody?
I'll make that move.
And there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, the meeting agenda is approved. The President's report. The board spent most of January interviewing and hiring our new general manager. I want to make sure you can't hear me very well? I'm sorry. I want to make sure I introduce Mr. Rick Goldstein. He's been in his role since January 20th. His background is in business management with experience in executing business initiatives and organizational change. He has a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Engineering and Operations Research and commented in the interview process that he wants to help keep Diamond Head the beautiful and amazing place that it is. He recently moved here, recognized what a great place it is, and likes to golf and fish. He has quickly assessed the organizational needs and found savings in the area that the board has requested. Now that he is here, the board has been actively working to try to help him get oriented to the committees, bring him up to speed on the financial and future concerns, and on the goals for the year. We're really glad to have Rick join us. I'm going to take this opportunity to do a little spiel that I've been interested in for quite some time, and then the Golf and Grounds Committee also has the same issue. I want to point out that golf is a dangerous game. According to a study by Golf Digest, approximately 40,000 golfers a year seek treatment for injuries caused by errant golf balls and flying golf club heads. The people who play golf on Diamond Head's two wonderful courses are not all professionals. Many are quite talented at the game, and some are beginners. Golf balls can fly in unpredictable directions and unpredictable distances, despite what you might have seen televised on TV. Golf balls have a rubber core that's surrounded by thermoplastic layers, making it a hard, small object. The golf ball can fly at varying speeds based on how it is struck, anywhere from 0 to 160 miles an hour, making it very hard to see at the same time that it is flying quickly through the air. Since golf balls are round, they can bounce off any object, so the flight path is not always predictable. Golf is played from sunrise to sunset in almost any weather that a golfer can manage. I'm from the Chicagoland area, and there was a famous disc jockey that would play in the snow with an orange golf ball. Golfers will play anytime they can. All this is to say that being near a golf course in our lovely community, while the game is being played, is like any other sport. You must always be on your toes to watch for that dangerous flying object. We have cart paths that go through, people that travel around, and I wanted to help you think about ways to stay safe when golfers are present. One of the best ways is to follow the posted rules at the roadway entry points and don't access the golf course unless you're registered to play golf that day. If you are playing golf, Stay behind a golfer who is swinging a club. If traveling to the golf club and there is no other suitable route, pass by golfers only when they are moving forward to find their golf balls. Otherwise, wait until all golfers have hit, then proceed quickly past them to a far safe distance. And far can be in the hundreds of yards. Always wait before passing a green. That's that flat area with a flag if you don't play golf. Until all golfers have finished putting and are moving to the next hole. That is just a polite way to allow the golfers who play this game and pay to play to finish their round. Approach any hill or place where you cannot see the full golf course with caution. A golf ball may come flying at you from very far off. I've actually experienced a broken headlight on my golf cart because I wasn't far enough away. You have to be very careful. Dogs and children should not be on the golf course at all during daylight hours, as golf balls can come from some really surprising places, and they can't be alert and aware to that. All this is to say we're fortunate to have the green space, it's open space, and we like to make sure we all enjoy that space. But like anything else in nature and in sports, we must be wise and careful to safely enjoy it in the best ways possible. And thank you for letting me say my little lecture. And now it is time to let Mr. Goldstein do his general manager's report. Oh, I'm sorry, I just goofed. The committee reports are first. Mr. Pino, do you have a report?
I do. This last month, the Marina/Airport Committee has not had a full committee meeting, but I have met with our new general manager, and we've discussed and had discussions with an investment possibility, an investor group who is interested in the airport. Those discussions are preliminary, they're still ongoing, and they're confidential. Later this week, with the general manager again, we're meeting with a second investor group, potential partnering group, who's interested in talking to us about the airport, about Tennis World, and about the pickleball courts. Again, very preliminary, very confidential, and they're ongoing. These things are the natural consequence of the covenants expiring, money being in short supply, and there arising the need to do something different so that we can prosper and thrive going forward. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Tubbs?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. The Rec Committee did meet last Tuesday, and we're working primarily on putting together the proposal on agenda today, looking at a number of various avenues that we could both renew the pickleball courts as well as expand the availability. And so that really it was getting to that agenda item and looking at the variety of options that we got from the contractor. And I think the committee kind of all landed and agreed on the proposal that's before you this evening, which is by far the cheapest option that we were able to discover in our efforts to see what we could do with that facility. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. LaFontaine?
The House Committee met on February the 12th. After reviewing the operating expenses of the past 12 months, the House Committee recommends that we adjust the hours of operation at the club. Actually, beginning Monday, March 3rd, the club will open from 10 a.m. This will be Monday through Thursday, will be the opening time, and breakfast will be served Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. And we will make special accommodations for golf tournaments or special events. The bathrooms will be accessed from the outside of the building. That's
Thank
all
you.
we have.
Mr. Stromeyer?
Thank you. Last Monday, myself, Bill Blackwood, Bob Pino met with Rick Goldstein, our new general manager. Purpose of the meeting was to introduce ourselves to him as part of the administration committee. The other part was to hear Rick's thoughts on where we're going. So he had just been on board in his third week, But Rick shared with us a number of items he has discovered in just the first 3 weeks on board. A lot of it has to do with food waste found in the kitchen on a regular basis and then throwing away in the garbage, coupled with oversized portions of food served every day, and then the subsequent waste from the leftovers. He also talked to us about the filth in the kitchen by way of the floors and the grease buildup. With the bar, the overfilled, unmeasured alcohol served just about every day. We talked about payroll, salaries versus hourly, salaries plus tips versus hourly as well. We also spoke about, or Rick presented to us, dirty restrooms found throughout the facilities with little if no maintenance. Bob had mentioned it, but we also chatted about the community center, the East Rec Center, airport, marina, and the North Pool and baseball fields, and potential suitors for those amenities. And finally, we ended up in discussing the financial situation, which Bill will cover in his report. Rick had a number of actions underway to address these things, and I'm sure in his report to us, he's going to touch that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Giarrusso?
Nothing to add.
Director Nutting?
I'll defer to the committee chairs.
Secretary?
Nothing.
Mr. Blackwood?
Yes, I want to report on the financial situation we have here at the POA. We finally have gotten some audited financial statements for 21 and 22. We are behind on getting financial statements, but I can tell you the POA lost $1,268,000 in 21 and $687,000 in 22. And while we only have interim statements, we continue to lose money here at the POA. And as you can see, the Diamond Head dues have gone down $550,000 from 21 to 24. I figure that some 800 people have stopped paying dues here, which obviously is an issue. Our costs are up. Insurance is now $538,000. I think they're going to go over what an increase that is. We're faced with paying property taxes here. Just say that POA cannot continue to operate the same old way we have with reduced revenue and increased cost. So changes are going to have to be made. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Becker?
I defer.
And Mr. Lee?
The Golf and Grounds Committee, it did meet on February the 5th. Just a few highlights. Number 11 Pine with the drainage work for the city is ongoing. Hopefully, he said he should have that buttoned up by the weather permitting sometime middle of March, end of March, by the time the growing season starts. We have several groups coming into town. We have a big group from Illinois right now, about 70 players. And we have numerous others in the next weeks, all adding to additional revenue for the golf and the restaurant as well. And they're looking, the pro shop is looking to start back up with the night golf event coming up on the 29th of March. And any of you guys that have done that night golf, it's a lot of fun, and I would encourage everyone to take part if you get the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it is time for the general manager's report. Please come up here. You can just face us. And if the green light's not on, your mic's not on.
I think the green light. Can everybody hear me? Okay. So I've been in this job for a little less than a month now, so I'm going to review this in kind of broad strokes. I wanted to bring today a focus on what the big picture looks like. And I think Bill was eloquent about what he sees. But if we look at the 2025 picture from just a cash flow standpoint, we're projecting a $600,000 loss for the POA. That includes the country club and all the amenities. Overall, it's going to be a $600,000 loss. However, when we take depreciation into account at a cost of $900,000 per year, the total P&L will have a much higher negative effect once we become a profitable organization. So what changed that drove us to this? Bill had just mentioned the insurance costs. They've risen from $250,000 a year to $538,000 a year in the past 3 years. That's a $288,000 increase that we have to overcome. We have a significant loss of POA dues, and that will continue through 2029 in different sectors. And we expect, or we're focusing on, a loss of about 40% of the dues in the areas as they drop off of the covenant. We have an increase in property taxes of $280,000 this year. So when you add that together, we've got a significant challenge ahead of us. With prudent decision-making and actions, we're going to resolve this problem. I'm confident that we'll do it. Some of the actions have already started, and some of these decisions I know are not popular, but unfortunately they're necessary. We've got to reduce costs at all costs. My strategy is to resolve this issue for both the short and long term, so we can move into a phase that focuses on growth and security. So this is the time now, guys, that we have to address this thing for not just the short term in this year, but we have to look down the road at 5 years down the road, so we resolve this once and for all. We don't kick the can down the road. We've just got to grin and bear it, make the tough decisions, get ourselves very solvent in a situation where then we can focus on growth. I couldn't build growth into the formula of this because it takes a while to build it up, and our needs are immediate. Just this month alone, by not invoking the changes, that's 1/12 of the $600,000 that we still have to make up that we haven't done yet. So the further we go into the year without making the changes, the more it's going to affect us and the more money we're going to have to go after. So that's a difficult decision. So we have to act now, and we have to act decisively. I'm meeting with the board on Friday to go over a more detailed plan, and hopefully what comes out of there are the proper actions. We'll be looking at the bar and restaurant area because of the waste that was talked about. We'll look at staffing overall, and we'll look at amenities. We have to do a combination of all three in order to get us in a good, solvent position moving forward. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
There are two motions on the agenda today. One seeks to spend $40,000 cash for the pickleball courts. One proposes to spend $11,000 of a rebate on some facility grass cutting equipment.
Yes.
What's your opinion of those two motions in terms of our budget?
I've sat in several meetings on the grass cutting equipment. I think it's necessary. I think it's important that we keep the golf course up and that we have equipment that does the job that it needs. So capital is very precious this year. The $600,000 includes $240,000 investment in capital. As I mentioned earlier, the kitchen needs significant work, and I mean significant work. I don't know the dollar value of it yet. So being prudent in terms of how we spend the money is something that we have to really capitalize on. My opinion on the pickleball courts, I can only go by the few weeks I'm here. Every amenity that we own loses money. We don't have any that make any money, including the tennis club. I understand that pickleball is now a more popular sport, but there's no guarantees that we would make money off of the $40,000 investment, nor are we good at managing these amenities very well. So that's something in the wrong direction. I think that the pickleball is a great thing. It's very popular these days. What I would do would be to wait till later in the year, till we get ourselves in a much more profitable position, and then we could do a better job at making those kind of investments.
Anyone else? Thank you, Rick. Okay, do we have POA members' comments on agenda items?
We have a number. First up is John Gallus.
Can you try to keep it to 3 minutes? Please?
I appeared before a lot of appellate courts. I'm used to being cut off.
Okay, if I wave at you, that's what I'm doing.
They usually gave me a red light. I'm John Gallus. My wife and I have lived here for 6 years. We're POA members. I strongly oppose this $40,000 cash payment generally, given given what's been described today about the financial circumstances of POA and the uncertainty of when they will be resolved and how. I note that the POA's website refers to this as a, quote, dire situation. For that reason, I respect that this board has been working really hard and to get through this mess, and I appreciate your efforts to do it. I appreciate all of your efforts to do it. But I don't think this would be a step in the right direction to do it at this time. Secondly, with respect to the motion, I don't know that there's a need to expand the pickleball courts from 3 to 6 at the facility at this time. We live there. We observe the use there. There's a large group of there's a group of people who have been advocating for this. They play generally on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings. They range depending upon the time of year. When they play for about 2 hours. By my observation, and they can contradict me, I assume they've signed up too, that the group is usually about 16 or 17 people on average. Everybody plays doubles. Nobody plays singles. So 3 courts accommodates 12 people at one time. There's another busy time populated by a bunch of quite younger men, usually the last couple hours when the courts are open on Friday evenings, Saturday evenings, and Sunday evenings. And again, they seem to be accommodated for their number. There's 10 or 11 in that group. And many times that group only takes 2 of the 3 courts. So I don't see the urgency to make a decision now in the financial circumstances confronting the board. Finally, I don't know if this is germane, but since my wife and I live there, we are affected by the activity there, and we would appreciate the opportunity to speak to someone, and we need some guidance as to who, with respect to the problems we're having and the suggestions we have for some what we believe would be reasonable rules that would sort of mitigate what we believe are the excesses, particularly in the evening. The morning group is perfectly fine, but the evening group, we would like to talk to somebody about some rules and regulations that are now posted at the courts that aren't being followed, plus maybe a couple of additional ones. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Next up, Barbara Gibbons.
Hello, everybody. I'm a 34-year resident of Diamond Head, and I have been playing pickleball for the last 3 years here. We have a group of about 80 people. We have what is called a GroupMe app, so that anybody who wants to join and communicate goes on the app. And so we communicate among ourselves. If anybody wants to join in, they're on the app, and also Mr. Tubbs, I believe, is on the app. And we're a self-directed group. There is no pro, there's no building we have. Everything is for free for basically a POA. And we think we're pretty good advocates for our program. And I have to say also, as a 34-year resident, I've been very pleased to listen to you tonight, because I've been wondering a long time when decisions are going to be made. I also have been the swim coach here. I was here for 3 different terms over 20 years. So I've worked with the kids, I've worked with parents, and I know what people expect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara.
Catherine Lewis.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to just segue a little bit into what Barbara said. I moved here 4 years ago because there was a swimming pool. I moved here 4 years ago because there were tennis courts. I moved here 4 years ago because there was a tennis court 2 doors from the area that the gentleman is talking about. I lived there for 2 years, and what excited me about Diamond Head and this place that I now call home because I built a home here is the fact that there are lots of physical activities. The pickleball courts are, they need resurfacing. We're not asking for you to dig the pickleball courts up and replace them. They need resurfacing for all of us to be safer. There are 80-something people on the pickleball list. We have beginners all the way to people who play in tournaments all the time. And we don't cost any money except for the fact that these courts need to be fixed. So what I'm asking you to do is, and I came here a couple of months ago and I talked about this way of life, and I understand that we all have to cut back, but this is a vision of a place to call home where you can be active. And I now live 2 blocks or 2 doors down from the pickleball courts. And I would say that the vast majority of times, just like any other sport that you're talking about, the vast majority of the time, the pickleball players are respectful and do pay attention to the rules that are posted. And so I ask you to think about what you're going to do if you don't do something with these courts. It's like the kitchen. If you don't do something with the kitchen, if you don't do something with these courts, you're going to take the pickleball away. So I'm asking you to reconsider that thought and to please pay a little more attention to the fact that there are so many of us out there that are enjoying this place we call home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last up, Lisa Pritzello.
Hi, my name is Lisa Pritzello. My husband Drew and I have been active members of Diamond Head since 1999. We have been members in good standing, even though some of those years we actually didn't live in this area. And we moved back approximately 4 years ago and have thoroughly been enjoying all the reasons that we moved here back in '99. And we made a point, even though we moved away, that we wanted to be a part of this community when we retired. We are, pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports. And when I'm talking, I'm just going to share personally how I feel about some of the things that are going on with pickleball and this request. But I want you to also think about it in terms of what you just brought up, in terms of we have to be an organization that's able to pay the bills and able to do the things that we need to do. So I recognize that when I'm sharing that. It's one of the largest and fastest growing sports across all age groups, not just seniors. We have, as they spoke before on the GroupMe app, we have over 80 people here in Diamond Head that want to play pickleball. Across the Gulf Coast, there are other places that we can go, but we want to play here. Even though the courts are not in great shape now, we play here because of the fellowship and community that Diamond Head provides us. We have a limited number of courts. We have 3 courts right now. There are times, and I think somebody brought up, we do have some times that we say Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we're going to all go play. But sometimes we have 30 people out there. And even if we're playing doubles, you've got people that are just standing waiting on a court, and it would really help in order to move that forward. I also believe there would be even more members that I know live here in Diamond Head and play in other places, that they would come back to Diamond Head if the courts were in better condition. They're just not as safe as they could be at this point. Also, because of the limited number of courts, we're really limited to open play. If you have more than 3 courts, then you're able to do round robins, you're able to host tournaments where other area communities are able to do. That actually can bring in revenue, as well as even as Tennis World, I think, used to, or the club, the tennis club, provide, for us to pay a little bit so that is at least self-sustaining or profit generating. And I haven't looked into all that, but that is a potential.
May I ask you to wrap it up really quickly?
Yes,
We've finished 3 minutes.
Yes. I just want to say I truly care about the future of Diamond Head, and I want to be supportive of everything that you have said about the money situation that we're in, while recognizing that these amenities are very important to why we live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Does that complete our list?
That's the list.
Thank you. Okay, it's time to move to the regular agenda then, please. The first motion to approve the reconfiguration of the pickleball tennis courts located at the club to 6 pickleball courts at a cost not to exceed $40,000. Who would like to make that motion?
I will make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, what comments would you like to help us with, please?
I'll say that from the moment that I began my interest in joining the POA, there has been no topic brought to my attention more than pickleball. And even the attendance here tonight, while we're still a lot of empty chairs, but this is a better turnout than I've seen since I've joined the board. I'm not a pickleball player myself, but when I was tapped to be on the rec committee, I really understood my job to be to facilitate bringing before this group the will of the members. And so that's why I'm doing this, and I understand kind of the interesting timing of this being a couple months, delayed, and so we're kind of looking at this really challenging financial scenario and weighing a $40,000 investment in that reality. I think it's the challenge before all of us, right? I think anybody who were to vote no on this at this time, I certainly couldn't disparage you for doing so. But that said, I think part of what we've got to balance is the value and making sure that people who pay their dues and choose to pay their dues feel like they're getting value in that expenditure on a monthly basis. And to me, this is an area where, to me, it makes sense to invest a little bit for the membership. Understand the challenging nature of the vote, though. But those are my comments. I do believe that we found a fair and reasonable price. I know it's not inexpensive, but it's in line with the last time we resurfaced these courts some years ago. So those are my thoughts. Appreciate the opportunity to comment.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I'm also on the rec committee with Mr. Tubbs, and the pickleball people are not only very enthusiastic and active, but it is a massively growing sport across the nation. The pickleball courts are not a new amenity. It isn't like we're building something new. It's maintaining them like we need to with the kitchen that was brought up or the golf courses that's there. It isn't like we're doing something new. In order to maintain it, we need to spend some money. The citizenry that wants to play it is very large and active, and I would encourage people to think of this as not as to think of this as an investment in the future, because the pickleball group of people is growing so rapidly. So I would encourage you to vote for it, even though it's a significant amount of money. We're between a rock and a hard place because we don't have a lot of money because of all the selfish and self-centered people that aren't paying their dues, but we still have to spend some money to make things work for the amenities. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
I have a question. What are we doing? Are we resurfacing? Are we adding? And what about the tennis courts we currently have? Will you still be able to play tennis?
So this would eliminate the tennis court by the country club, and we would be dependent on Tennis World for tennis at that point. We are resurfacing and reconfiguring, but the reconfiguration piece is a small cost compared to the resurfacing.
Could we get a cost breakdown on that?
Yes. Yes, we do, and I can share with the board the specific proposals. I didn't share those publicly because they're proprietary from the contractor.
Okay. But what, I mean, have we heard from the people that play tennis over there, whether or not they're for doing away with the tennis courts? Because my understanding is the tennis courts we have down at Tennis World, although I'm not a tennis player, are clay or something, and they're not the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I have heard some feedback from folks who are opposed. I mean, this is one of these situations you're not going to have a unanimous, happy membership, right? Anytime you make this kind of change. But again, the folks advocating for this have been the ones that have been most vocal and really most passionate about it.
Just maybe to clarify that a little bit. So at present, the one side of the pickleball courts or tennis courts by the swimming pool, one side has 2 pickleball courts and the other has 1 tennis court. And we'd be taking away the tennis court on the other side and reconfiguring it so there could be 6 pickleball courts and no tennis court.
Mr. Giarrusso?
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but the only place to play tennis for free is at that court. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we'd be taking that away from the tennis membership to be able to access a court for free?
That would be correct.
Okay, and I don't know if you know this or not, but when were they resurfaced last, and how often is it that they're supposed to be resurfaced?
So I don't know if I have it exactly specific, but I think it was 3 to 4 years ago, and that's pretty much the lifespan on these, is every 3 to 4 years.
Mr. Stromeyer?
I don't have a fee schedule with me, but I think pickleball, in addition to being a member in good standing, to play pickleball, you have to pay an annual fee, just much like we do to play golf. The 80-something members, have y'all paid this annual pickleball fee?
I don't know that there is an annual pickleball fee at this point.
Yeah, Stuart, that's to play pickleball at the Tennis World, not next to the club.
So,
We've never charged anybody to play tennis or pickleball in the courts next to the club.
So the fee schedule doesn't reflect that. It just says
That's at Tennis World. Nancy, I've got a question.
Yes,
and I do want to add in, you know, we've had some discussion about the pay for play among membership, and it sounds like there is, at least to some degree, some appetite for that if the intent is to get, you know, on a cycle to where we can pay for these the renewal of these courts. But I did hear numerous times that the shape that they're in right now, there wouldn't be a lot of taste for paying for it until the investment's made up front.
Michael, I've got a question for you, and maybe for somebody in the audience. Do we have any way to tell whether the 80 people and the 16 gentlemen that this man was speaking about are members in good standing or not paying dues, or they all live in Diamond Head, or can you sign up from anywhere?
Yeah, so right now, recently, actually, Diane, you know, who runs the rec in the marina, has started spot checks where they've had folks out doing that, but I mean, it's not manned, you know, all day, every day at this point. I think once we get in season and you've got a pool attendant over there, there's the ability to do both. But really, you know, we were looking at what made sense in that regard. And also, I think there's some interest in discussion about, you know, potentially looking at scanners that you can come in with your card to actually access the facility. So there's some possibilities there. We're just trying to balance the cost of doing that, you know, versus the benefit, and trying to find the way that makes sense.
I spoke to Adam before we came here tonight. Adam is the maintenance supervisor for the whole community, and he told me that he thought this option, the $40,000, was for a resurfacing that was estimated to last somewhere between 5 and 10 years. The one we did a few years ago was basically, they smoothed it out and put a layer of something on the top of it, but as I understand it, this is more extensive.
Thank you. I was going to ask exactly what all was in the cost, because somehow $40,000 for a layer of blacktop didn't make sense, but there would be some surface cleaning and protecting. Is that part of the plan for your bid?
That's my understanding, yep.
Okay, I have a couple questions and a comment. So, do we have pickleball courts at Tennis World?
someone in the audience can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there is one. But the challenge with that particular court, as I understand it, not being a pickleball pro myself, is that the nature of the surface makes it challenging for pickleball.
Okay, and so it was. Go ahead.
I've been a member of the tennis club and paying the pickleball dues for the past 3 years. And those two courts that are on court 10, one has been completely removed and is not even marked anymore. And the other one on the north side is in complete disrepair. The net has holes in it, and it's in really, really bad shape. And it's my understanding, I was told that I shouldn't be paying the pickleball dues anymore down tennis club because we're not going to do that anymore. And so I've been going down there to practice, but the courts are in such disrepair, it's discouraging.
Thank you, thank you. I just wanted you to hear what he had to say.
I did see. And so you're hoping that we can build some revenue at a court that is generally free for our members to use. And my only comment on that is we have members who do play tennis, and we're probably going to have some angry people if we just make it all into pickleball. Were there ever talks about resurfacing the two at Tennis World?
That's certainly an option, but that's not the proposal, right? The proposal here is to grow the capacity as described. And understand and appreciate that, yes, there will be some people who are unhappy with this decision, but, part of, one consequence to this may be that more people join Tennis World, whose, those resources are really poorly underutilized right now.
I'm just wondering how we're going to build revenue at the tennis court by the pool. I saw on here that you said that we could do food from the clubhouse. Are we thinking about having them deliver the food like they do at the pools?
The committee didn't get into that level of detail, Meg, on it. It's my hope that the GM and the rec manager will look at various approaches to figure out what makes the most sense for that.
Okay. But by way of clarification, the type of surface that's at Tennis World is a thing called Rubico, and to switch that to pickleball, which needs to be some sort of harder surface, pavement or cement, is very, very expensive and almost can't be done over there. So in order for pickleball to be done, it needs to be on a harder surface, which we have near the swimming pool. But the Tennis World ones would be almost impossible to resurface, from what I've been led to believe.
I'm done. That's what I was going to say.
Okay. Is there any more comments, questions, statements?
Yeah, I have a comment. Whether this is a good idea or not a good idea, we can debate. What I don't think is debatable is we don't have the money for this. This is money that is not in the budget for any kind of pickleball improvement or any amenity improvement. We've been spending our time recently with cost reductions. People are losing their jobs. People are getting their salaries reduced to save expenses. This is not the time to spend on something that is a want, not a need. This is a want. I think we need to be, first and foremost, fiscally responsible, and I don't think this is fiscally responsible. More importantly, and more, I think, germane to this motion tonight is, we have meetings this week with people who want to help us with their money improve pickleball, amongst other things. I think we should have that discussion with those people before we do anything here with our money. So, for that reason, I bring a motion to table this motion until after we've had those discussions with the potential outside parties.
Can we do that? I don't know what the rules are.
I'm trying to think of the rule.
I was under. You got to vote on something, or
right? No, I was under the impression that tabling caused the motion to be moved to the very next meeting. Is it indeed want to table it, or is there another strategy that we can use that we don't lose this idea, but we don't implement it right away? I'm wondering if there's a way to, say, bring it up in 6 months when we know more about what's going on with our lives, and not lose this idea, because I think the underlying value is important to everyone.
Right, I'm not trying to
You
lose
know,
the idea.
yeah, no, I don't think you are. I'm just trying to think of the actual Robert's Rules proper way to do this.
I don't know the answer to that question. I think that the motion to table takes precedence, and that if we vote to table this motion, then this motion is not heard today, number one. And whether it's heard at the next meeting or some other meeting, we can deal with that at that next meeting or some other meetings. So I think my goal is not to deny this motion today, just to postpone it until after we have some talks with the outside people.
It's my understanding if we table it, it comes up at the next meeting.
Where it could be tabled again.
Of course.
Right. So we can essentially decide it when we want to decide it, but not tonight if we vote to table.
Right. Bob, have the people that y'all have spoken in some fashion to these people, right?
Very preliminary. The people who are potentially interested in Tennis World, the airport, and pickleball, very preliminary discussions, but they are serious people, and they have the means to do what they say they want to do.
But did they expressly say they were interested in providing pickleball there?
What they expressly said was they're interested in an indoor pickleball facility. Probably at Tennis World, not by the main pool.
Yeah, I understand.
If needed, I'll second that motion to table.
Second to table. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to table this motion made by Mr. Pino, seconded by Mr. Giarrusso. All those in favor of tabling this motion at this point in time, raise your right hand, or a hand. 1, 2, 3. I think everybody except Stuart and Michael. And those opposed? Stuart and Michael. Okay. Thank you. The motion will now be tabled until the next meeting, at which point in time we will see where we are and take it from there.
And by the way, we're having an executive session on Friday. I'll be able to report on Friday. Something more than I can report tonight anyway.
Okay.
Perhaps we can keep this from dangling too long and not be considered kicking this can down the road forever. We will not lose this motion. This is too important to Diamond Head to have pickleball. Thank you very much, you all, for your discussion. Next motion is to purchase grooming heads for greens mower reels for the growing system, Verticut blades. Who would like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Giarrusso, is there a second? Mr. Lee? Okay, what comments would you like to make?
Just quickly, the actual heads that we have on the mowers now were the basic heads that came with the greens mower when the new equipment, the leased equipment, came in earlier this year. The new conditioning blades will actually help thin some of the grasses on the greens, so you don't have as bad a grain and all. It improves the playability as well as the health of the greens. This is something that was noted as soon as they got the equipment in, and we had discussed with Mr. Hammonds about waiting until we got some of the rebates back from John Deere, and I think that's it was more than sufficient from the rebates to cover this plus the trailer that we had previous. But anyway, it's a condition and playability for the golf course.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Giarrusso?
The only thing I'd like to add and highlight is that this was from a rebate that came from us signing the contract with John Deere, and we allocated the rebate to go towards future equipment, which this is part of that future equipment.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I do have a question. In other words, we're not gonna have to pay $10,878.
We received a rebate via check, and I don't know where exactly the funds were deposited, but we received a rebate from money that was already spent that came back in. So you're going to have to pay after you got the rebate.
You have to pay, yeah.
My understanding is we're gonna have to pay another $10,000 on top of the rebate, or is it covered by the rebate?
No, the rebate came in. Ernie, you might be able to elaborate exactly what it was, but I think it doesn't I think we still are in the positive with the rebate after this expense and the dump trailer.
Yeah, there was two different rebate checks came in, and I think that they were both kind of put back into the golf maintenance budget. And so they were still, I ain't gonna say surplus.
I just want to point out, it seems to me we're paying $10,878, because if we got the rebate, we must have got cash.
We did.
So we are paying $10,878.
It would be, yeah.
I just want to be
And
clear that that's what we're doing.
Right.
So I'm certainly in favor of this. If we want to have facilities, we have to maintain them. The golf course want to remain facilities, we have to maintain it. The pickleball courts are no different, just to segue into this. If we want to have them, we have to maintain them. So I'm certainly in favor of this motion as I was with the other one.
Any other comments?
Is this absolutely needed?
No.
And it's 10,000 that we could spend on something else.
Yes.
When you say absolutely needed, it is needed to maintain to the current or betterment of our golf courses.
For instance, we have potholes you could lose a car into in the marina. That's needed work that we're not doing because we're spending our money somewhere else where it's more needed. I guess my mind just got changed on this. I think this is something that is not as needed as it could be needed.
This is also one of our amenities or the main amenity of this community. We can't lose track of that.
I get that, but we can mow the grass on the greens with what we have right now, right?
This is needed to currently maintain or better the golf courses.
Okay.
So currently maintain is the key point of that. Yes, we can mow with what we have now, but to currently maintain with the new equipment that we have, this is needed to currently maintain or better the golf courses.
They, just to give you a reference, the heads that we're looking to purchase, basically, that while they're not verticut heads, they actually thin the greens to allow growth and to allow it to, without having a lot of grain in it, so you don't have to leave them as long. You can actually improve the playability. It's not a needed thing, but it will benefit the course over the summer.
One of the things about the golf course that's interesting is that the money that's made from the pro shop facilities and the people playing golf covers the costs of looking after the golf course, because the golf course is in such good shape and there's such a demand for people to come and play it. So we need to give the fellow that's looking after the golf course the money to look after it, to keep it good, so people come and spend the money to cover the expenses. So even though some of these things might not be absolutely needed, in order to keep things up to the very excellent level that the golf courses are, sometimes we have to invest a little money.
You know, we've also been told in the golf committee meetings that at some point in the future, in the next 5 years or so, we're going to be looking at the end of the life of the greens on the pine. And from what I understand, this could help to extend that life.
Any other comments? Okay, we're going to call the vote then on the motion to purchase grooming heads for greens mower reels for the growing season. All those in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those opposed? 1, 2, 3. Are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, we have 3 opposed, 1 abstain. The motion carries. Do we have POA member comments on non-agenda items?
We have one person, Don Rose, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I submitted this stuff before.
And remember, you promised 3 minutes.
Well, I'll do my best.
Okay, and I'll wave at you.
Oh,
And
there
it's
should be
3
a
minutes.
green button on there turned on?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
My name is Don Rose. I'm the president of the Oaks POA, one of the subsidiaries that some people in Diamond Head don't even know exist back here down Noma. when I got on the board 3 or 4 years ago, we didn't have enough money left in our bank for the last 3 or 4 lawn cuttings. I was very concerned, and we went into a serious mode of collection. We ended up suing several delinquent owners. We now have almost $50,000 in the bank, and we are foreclosing on 1 house and working on 2 more. I don't know what Diamond Head's position is to collect back dues, but we've been very aggressive because the covenants say we can do that. Now, obviously, listening tonight, the big issue that Diamond Head has and what we've been following, I've been playing golf out here since 1972, though we are new residents, we are living out west. The big issue is money at Diamond Head and how we're going to get it for the POA to become solvent again. And the issue where the covenants, how the covenants keep expiring. And my question to the President Sislo a few weeks ago was, and our Oaks covenants, I was told by the former GM that our covenants are in perpetuity, as if they will never die. Well, we now have some people in our area, and to my knowledge, there's only 3 of us out there that play golf. We have 100 houses, so we participate about $75,000 a year to the Diamond Head POA. And like I said, I know Lenny Alfonso plays and I play, and I think there's 1 other participant. So now we have some owners out in the Oaks who are becoming dissatisfied, and they have wanting to know what they can do to get 85 of our 100 homeowners to disband our POA so they won't have to pay you guys anymore. I'm not for that, obviously, because I use the amenities. But that said, and my question is, why Purcell Corporation put the endings of these things in it to begin with is stunning to me, that they didn't have enough foresight to keep these things in order. But yet our little Oaks, and what I read from Ms. Jones, the House Counsel, is that ours are forever. So maybe we could loan you guys some money out of our account at maybe a crazy interest rate. Maybe pay for your pickleball course. We have money. We have money.
Maybe you should build pickleball courts.
Well, maybe we should. But what I'm here for is to ask if those owners in the Oaks, if those owners in the Oaks are successful in getting 85 of our owners to pull out, does that mean those of us who want to use the amenities that we could still pay that sum and use them? Or is it one for all or all for none?
Thanks for your comments. We
Yeah.
don't make
Thank
answers
you.
here.
We'll work
That's
on
what I
it.
understand.
We'll work on an answer
Well,
for you.
I have
Thank
many
you.
more questions. And,
We'll try to help.
Y'all just put a new kitchen in out there a couple of years ago.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Our next board meeting will be Monday, March 17th. Wow. 6 p.m. here in the City Council chambers. May I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Strohmeyer?